ready for this? It's showtime. Lights, fans, action. Oh yeah, we've got action. Faster, tougher, more ferocious. There's nothing like League. This is the Betfred Super League.
Got me here. It took a big chunk out of me. Bleeding. It's bleeding. Oh no, it's bleeding. The thing just ripped my ear off. What do you think?
And it's a warm welcome once again to another edition of Eddie and Stevo, the podcast. As always, we are grateful to Rugby League's major sponsors, Betfred, for their ongoing support. Now, last week we had Wigan coach Matty Peat as our very special guest because Stevo was hurtling across the world from his home in Sydney, Australia, to be with us this week and for the rest of the season. So the boy, as you can hear, is back in town. Still got the bad throat.
Yeah.
Stevo, welcome home. How's the jet lag doing?
Well, I'm not too bad on the jet lag, but I think I've picked up bronchitis.
Again? I can't believe it. Again.
Yeah. Well, you know I'm an asthmatic, so I suffer when it gets that way. But sunshine.
Yes.
Now that's different. That's good. That is good.
You've brought the weather back with you. Well done for that. And, of course, quite a bit has happened since we last spoke. The semi-finals of the Challenge Cup for a start. Hull KR against Warrington now in the final, June the 7th. And we have to pay tribute to Willie Peters and his Hull Kingston Rovers team. A great win, a big win too. 36-12. Top of the Super League table. Cup finalists. You know, Stevo, I know you tipped Wigan earlier on in the season from week one of this podcast, but Hull KR, the way they're going, they could go on and win the lot this year.
Well, it certainly looks that way. They've got a pretty well-balanced side. They've got a few superstars in there as well. But I think that the way that Willie Peters have got their defence, they're solid and they work hard for each other. Sometimes, you need 3 or 4 great players to get you over the line. But it's a team spirit and the team, the way that it's got them working together, that's impressed me.
Fabulous. He's going really, really well. They're aiming for their first Challenge Cup win in 45 years, 1980. They beat Hull FC at Wembley. And, of course, they were there 2 years ago, losing to Lee in Golden Point extra time. They haven't won a major trophy in 40 years since the league title in 1985. This could be their year, couldn't it? Could be their moment.
Yeah, I think so. But it's not going to be easy against the Warrington outfit. They impressed me. Sam Burgess has got Warrington really, really fired up. Okay, they've had a bit of a up and down start to the championship, but I've got to say that the way that Warrington defended, and we'll probably come to that a little bit later on, Eddie, was outstanding. But as I say, take your hat off to Willie Peters. He's got them working very well indeed.
Indeed so. I mean, he's come into the side and they've had this great run, has Willie Peters. You've got to feel a bit sorry, though, for the Catalan Dragons, haven't you? They've spent all week in the UK following the Magic Weekend to get their prep absolutely on point. They fought back. They were 12-10 ahead at one stage. But that's as good as it got. Now, prior to the match, Steve McNamara spoke of the game being on neutral ground. And he said there were 3 teams out there, Hull KR, Catalan, and the match officials. Rovers had all the spectators inside the ground. He said he hoped the officials would take into account that it was on neutral territory. And what happens at the end of the game, livid with some decisions and the calls that went against him, and apparently only one penalty against Hull Kingston Rovers, and that for the technical offence of kicking out on the full. It's amazing, isn't it, Steve? Well, we get to semi-finals, we get to finals, and the referees seem to run it differently. Do you think?
Oh, without a doubt. It's been a problem that we've had in our game for many, many years. This has not just suddenly emerged. This is something that perhaps way back, way back, in regards to the fact that, right, Wembley probably won't be full if Catalan win. Now, it's often been said, I'm not saying that that is the case, but you can understand that McNamara would have been very upset by the fact. And so often when it gets to what we call the season games, the ones that attract the crowds, is that the referees seem to have a different interpretation. As you say, if you're a coach, and McNamara has every right to say one penalty that they received, that's nearly impossible in 80 minutes of rugby league football.
Well, it is, but to be fair, the Hull Kingston Rovers team, they only got 3, so there's only 4 penalties in the entire game. I mean, was it squeaky clean from start to finish?
That is the difficult thing yet again, in as much that, you know, you can point at little things, you can point at large things that happened in the game, but it seems to have been something that we've had for many, many years, is that when it comes to what you could classify as showpiece games, which are the semi-finals, the finals, etc., and the playoffs, when we come to the season's end, is that, yes, the referees seem to have a different idea. For many, many years, you could guarantee that, especially when you play at Wembley, that there was no penalties given within the first 15, 20 minutes. Let's try to open the game. Now, in those days, and I'm talking back a long, long time, Eddie, in regards to the fact that we were always trying, in the media and the radio and the television, we didn't have that exposure like we have now at Sky TV. That wasn't available. And most of the games, they were only shown from the second half. So it was a sort of a catch-22 situation, is that what we do, we'd like to show the world what a great game it is. Well, we don't need to do that because we've got every single game that you can watch on television. So maybe there's got to be a sort of a investigation as to why there's a difference when it comes to a major game.
Interesting point that you make. There were plenty of video referee decisions, though, in the same game. And last week, while you were en route home, I spoke with Wigan coach Matty Peet. We discussed the fact that the game has slowed down in 2025. The video referee decisions are taking an absolute age. Saturday's first half, Stevo, in the semi-final, kicked off at 2:30. The first half ended at 3:27. I timed it. It needs sorting out, this. It really does. An hours-long first half, crackers.
You're right, for once. You're right, Eddie. Look, I don't like this captain's challenge. I don't like that at all. Because if you've got one remaining, and you can tell that the referee's got it right, and yet they want to waste time, etc., and so forth. There's a lot of things. And now we've got to the video situation. And how long does that take? Oh. Instead of looking at it and saying, can I have a different angle? Can I do this, that, and the other? And the reason being is that they don't want to be seen as biased. They're frightened to death that they'll say that we're against that team or against this team. It changes. Oh, have you another angle? Have you got this, that, and the other? Did he get his foot to it? Did he get his finger to it, or whatever? And it's spoiling the game. You know, just get on with the damn thing and say, yeah, try. End of story. And not only that, once they've made the decision, oh, we've got to have the music, dum 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 dum, because they think the crowd want that. They don't. Most of the crowd want to say, "Is it a try or not?"
Yeah, it's sucking the life out of the game in many ways. It really is. And Jonathan Davis on the BBC about video referee decisions. He's with you. Just give it, he said. just give it after watching several replays on Sunday. The frustration definitely is growing at every level.
Look, it's something that we've just got to stop. We're always under pressure because of the technology. Everything is increased or whatever. But they're taking, just recently we were complaining about the fact that the video referee corrected something that the official on the field of play had already made a decision. And he actually said, I think you should go back and have a look at that because I think it should have gone the other way. Now, if we're going to have video referees controlling the game, the bloke in the middle with the whistle may as well just don't bother. Is it a forward pass? Are we going to get to that stage? Is it forward or what? Oh, it's difficult to do that. But it takes too long and it irritates me. And I'm sure it irritates you, Eddie. And what about the thousands of fans?
Well, as I say, you're right.
Yeah.
It sucks the life out of the game in many ways. And of course, the same is happening in football. You know, the VAR, he tells the referee, he deliberates for minutes, then he tells the referee, go and look at the monitor. And that's a fair indication that the decisions are going to be turned around. I suppose it's catch-22. You've got to be right. They've got to get the decision right. But, let's get on with it.
Yeah, you've got to have certain respect. How many times now you're talking about soccer, football, the round ball situation, is that how many times do we look 12 minutes, 14 minutes extra time?
Yeah.
And that's only brought about by the goes to the screen, goes this, that, and the other. We're just taking it too far. Technology is great sometimes, but sometimes technology is a pain in the you-know-what.
Well, interestingly, after Steve McNamara's rant about no penalties in the first semi-final on Saturday, there were plenty blown on Sunday. The penalty count was 7-4, so there were 11 during the second semi-final. I think that's a coincidence.
Who knows? Maybe, look, Sam Burgess, he got Warrington absolutely set, solid in defence. Not only that, nearly every tackle, there was at least 3 men involved. But one of those men that is a defender automatically seemed to stay on the ground, not make a rush to get to his feet and get out of the rock area. It happened nearly all the way through the game, and Lee, they were not allowed to have a quick play the ball on a regular basis. It was a fantastic ploy by Sam Burgess, and I'm sure that if you asked him, he'd hold his hand up and say, listen, that's the way that we tackled, that's the way that we slowed them down. They didn't get off to a good start, of course. Lee did the intercept and all that sort of thing. But the one thing that throughout that game, they just had more people making it so difficult in and around the play the ball area. And poor old Lee, they couldn't do anything about it because of one thing, Eddie. Referee was not blowing the whistle and saying, you're interrupting the play. Once again, we point the finger at the officials.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting what you're saying. No George Williams, of course, or Danny Walker for Warrington. I thought Ben Curry and Paul Vaughan in particular, I thought they were immense. Matt Duffy got the Man of the Match award. Mark Sneed coming back, some would say too quickly after his fractured eye socket, but he played a massive part with his kicking game, didn't he? He really did.
Unbelievable. Quite frankly, I thought he was the Man of the Match. I know 2 tries from the lad was sensational, and they played really, really well. But the thing is that Mark Sneed, his kicking game was absolutely spot on. He knew exactly what they had to do. Now, he's in that position to be able to take the ball right, left, kick, or this, that, and the other. Lee was left with kicking the ball far too far down. So it was making it easy for the fullback and the two wingers to accept the ball without being under pressure. Now, nearly every kick from Mark Sneed, when it came to the last, they were applying the pressure. That Lee were having to struggle to try to get that possession. It was a perfect scenario, as far as I'm concerned, is that the coach, Burgess, and the players knew exactly what they had to do. And if the referee ignored the fact that they were lounging on the floor and this, that, and the other, preventing the quick play of the ball, then they got away with it. And fair play to them. It's all part of the game. And if the officials don't slam down at it straight away, then do it.
Well, they're at Wembley for a second year in a row. They didn't turn up against Wigan last year, to be fair, Warrington. They'll have to against Hull KR, won't they? They really will.
Yeah, and look, I think it's fantastic the way that Warrington have pinpointed the attack to get back to Wembley as well. We often say you learn from your mistakes, and Sam Burgess got it right in the semi-final. And will he be able to get away with that sort of tactic down at Wembley? Remember what we said earlier? The referees usually don't penalise within the first 15, 20 minutes.
Going to be fascinating. It really is. And also, of course, on the same day, June the 7th, the Women's Challenge Cup final will be staged. The first Wigan against St Helens meeting at the new Wembley Stadium. There's a feather in the cap for the women's game. And St Helens, they're going for a 5th consecutive Challenge Cup win in a row against the old enemy. So it's going to be a heck of the day down there, with the 1895 Cup as well taking place. 3 for 1. That's value for money. You're always talking about value for money in rugby league. There it is. Lee miss out. And by the way, Stevo, talking of Lee, I think someone who has been a major cog in the wheel at the Sports Village for the last few years, Chris Chester, he's left the club. He was appointed to work alongside Adrian Lamb. He's overseen Lee's most successful period in the last 3.5 years. He's off to Castleford Tigers as director of rugby there to work with Danny Maguire. The news coming just days after Martin Jepson completed his takeover of the club as majority shareholder. Lifelong Cas fan. He owns a real estate business. I think this is a fantastic first signing for Castleford Tigers under Martin Jepson, don't you?
Oh, my word. Look, when you go for a new job and when you get into a new situation, you think, I want the best people around me. I want to make sure that this is a success. And all you have to do is just look at their CV. And you think to yourself, well, Chester's got runs on the board. Why not?
Very much so.
And it's certainly going to be a good support in regards to not just overseeing the sort of signing of players, etc., and so forth, but he'll be a great asset to the club.
Well, he was a great asset to Adrian Lamb. He was never far from Adrian's shoulder when the Lee Leopards have had this wonderful run. All right, look, away from the semi-finals, you're just back from Australia, where you spent the last few months. What's being said about the English game down there, Stevo? Are they still keen on taking charge of Super League, as they're reported to have been?
Oh, yes. My word. They were the driving force to see that the international board brought back the Ashes, which we're going to see this year. That is one of the best moves that the international board have sanctioned. And that was brought about by pressure from Australia. And we've made it quite clear, and they've made it quite clear to everybody, that they don't want to see Super League going down the gurgle. It doesn't help with the fact that the financial problems at Salford certainly doesn't get a big tick in regards to the future of the game. But why have we allowed that to happen? Once again, the Aussies have said, we would like to take control. And it's as though in this country, we panic. Oh, we can't allow the Australians. They'll ruin everything. Listen, we're not in a very, very happy situation, are we, in this country? We're not. over the past few years, we've gone backwards.
I just wonder what's in it for the Aussies, though, Stevo. I raised this with Matt Peake last week as well, and he has dismissed my fear, by the way, that the big Aussie clubs will just come in, nick our best players, meaning Super League could become just a feeder league for the NRL. What is the bottom line? I know that you're saying that it's the international game and they want the Super League to thrive because of that, but what does it matter to the NRL if Super League is brilliant or is rubbish?
That has been a problem that we've had in this country, is that we don't want any help. And let's face it, if you realise that you're going down the gurgler, not fast, but slowly, we need some injection. We need something who can drive us into more exposure in regards to finance. That's our biggest problem. We do not have the finances. At club level, Wakefield is a great example in regards to the fact that they've got the attitude right, but they've got the financial backing. I mean, there's even talk now about the Australians say, well, we want Super League to play in winter. Now, we haven't got to be frightened in regards to the fact, oh, they'll take over this, that, and the other. If you were going to do a deal with the NRL, then you ensure that you make sure that none of the players, right, can be drafted to an Australian club. How many times have we discussed it where each club should have a junior development situation in either country in regards to making sure that young kids have an opportunity to spend time in Australia and vice versa? Simple as that. We don't want the players who are past their best that want to come to the UK and earn a good money in the latter part of their season, or their years, should I say. We want to bring young kids and we want to make sure that it's an international game.
One Aussie who isn't particularly popular right now is the Catalan halfback Luke Keary. He's branded rugby league, I don't know whether he's talking about rugby league or Super League, as unwatchable and horrendous. It's the product, he said, the coverage, the news around the game, there's zero over here. The Rugby League's written to him asking for clarification. His club have tried to defend him, saying he's been taken out of context. But Stevo, here is a man on good money at 33, living in a beautiful part of the world, the south of France, a 3-time NRL Grand Final winner, but he's not really lit the Super League up with his form, and he's rubbishing our competition that he plays in. It's deplorable. John Wilkin on Sky called him out last week. He said, pack your bags and go home if you're so unhappy.
I think he may have been misquoted in regards to what he said. I think what he wanted to say was that it's nowhere near as good as what it is in Australia. He shouldn't have come out with something like that. But I suppose when you sit down and relax, I might think that we do have a problem, Eddie. Don't you?
Well, I think we have in parts, yeah, but I think that there's a lot of money coming into the game from investors who want to get involved in clubs now, and the likes of Wakefield and Wigan, and Hull Kingston Rovers and the Black and Whites. They're showing that the money is there. I'll try and be fair to Luke Keary. There is no expression in the printed word. It looks different in black and white on paper than if you say it with whatever expression is in your voice. So maybe that's it. Maybe when everyone looks at the printed word, well, has he said this? He said that? He said it's rubbish? I can see where they're coming from. I can see how upset people can get.
But there's one thing about it, Eddie. Maybe because someone has been outspoken, maybe someone might just sit down and say, maybe we're not as good as what we think we are.
Well, I tell you what, the fixture list this weekend looks pretty special because we've got Wigan, Leeds, Hull, Saints and Catalan. All the clubs chasing the top of the table, Hull Kingston Rovers, all meeting each other here, there and everywhere. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. And for, Paul Wellens and I suppose now Steve McNamara, pressure's on, isn't it? The pressure's on.
Oh, well, especially with Paul Wellens at Saints. once again, we talk about how the media can pick up on certain things and blow it out of all proportion. They're already saying down in Sydney that the assistant coach to Penrith, Miss Ben Gardner, right, who is a very, very good coach, is involved with Samoa. He's the international coach. And it's said down under that he's taking over from Paul Wellens.
Oh, I hope not.
They've more or less said, see you later, Mr. Wellens. It's headlines down under.
I know. Well, thank God it's not headlines up here. We've never heard that before. Look, let's just end on a smile, because you you came back from Australia this weekend. And you picked up a paper and you nearly fell over. You nearly collapsed with what you read. Go on, tell us the story.
My word. I'm looking on my computer and it says David Beckham takes over Salford. and Gary Neville and Paul Scholes, who all three have made it quite clear that they love rugby league. And I'm going, David Beckham... wow! I'm thinking, can I find his number? What's his mobile? I'd like to thank him for saving Salford. But of course, it's a round ball when I actually read the damn thing. But anybody listening from Salford, if you can get his number, ring him. Say, come on, David Beckham. Come on, Neville. Come on, Scalzi. Put your hand in your pocket and save what you've often said in the press, in the media, on television. You love rugby league. Well, if you love rugby league, why don't we save another Salford team?
Brilliant. I love it. I could picture your face when you opened up your computer and saw that headline. Fantastic. And hey, he might be interested, David Beckham. He's got a few problems of his own at the minute, but he might be interested. You never know.
Yeah, but the thing is, do we have anybody to pose that question?
Stevo, you are the man. You are the man with the task. Get his number and give him a bell. See what the reaction is. Tell us next week. I'd have a few shillings that you're going to get David Beckham involved with the Salford Red Devils. There you go. Tell us the inside story next week. Give us the exclusive on the Eddie and Stevo podcast in 7 days' time. Always a pleasure. Welcome home. Good fun. And see you soon.
Take care, top man.